Let me just make sure that it is doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I'll go on my YouTube and make sure that's going on too.
Okay, guys, welcome to Strange Real Podcast. Strange Real Podcast. Strange Real Talk Podcast. That is a mouthful.
Yeah, and we're what, officially episode 2?
Yeah, we are officially episode 2.
Man, I can't believe I've already forgotten how to. I think it's Creator Studio. Already forgotten how to get to my live stream.
Okay, go to Creative Studio, and then you go to
Yeah,
live streaming, and at the bottom of that should be a code. You hit reveal, then copy and paste that shit into your OBS after switching it to YouTube from Twitch.
Oh no, I've already got that. I just need finding the live stream thing on my YouTube channel. I found it.
Oh.
So what have you been up to this week? This interesting week.
I've been leveling my palette. I took it from 57 to 70 in one night, and then I got burned out. So I took a little bit of break. I've been playing Call of Duty Redacted like a hell of a lot.
Call of Duty Redacted, is that like a mod for Call of Duty?
It
or?
is. It pretty much makes it to where you can play online without playing online. It's kind of like a local area network, and one of the things you can do is spawn bots, and they give XP and everything, so it's really cool. The only sad part about fighting bots, they cheat. I've seen bots moving before the timer starts to aim at me immediately in the spawn.
Wow. Is it the original Call of Duty, or is it which
Black Ops 2?
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing is, they know exactly where you are all the time. So
Yeah.
they run to kill you. And you can see like 4 bots just standing around waiting for you to step through and to shoot you. In a free-for-all mode where they should be shooting each other, they're just sitting there waiting to shoot you.
Yeah, and it's funny because they like, even in the legit mode, like the bots are still like that. I remember doing, I think it was Black Ops 2, just to like play the multiplayer and like experience it.
Yeah.
And you just have like streamlines of bots running straight towards you.
And they cheat. They don't have to follow much of the game rules, and then they have random unlocks. So things that they shouldn't have, they do have, like special sights and stuff like that. It's like, well, that fucked me in the ass because that is just fucked up. What about you?
That's why I stick to zombies. I've been playing a lot of WoW recently. I was playing a resto shaman, just a alt that half the guild was. There was like a group of 5 was leveling together, so it's like, okay, I'll try healing out, and I really liked it. I think I got to 64, and then they played a bunch of times without me, so they're all like 85. So I ended up transferring my oldest character that I have in this game, which was a hunter that was stuck over on the Nessingwary server, who was level 77, and I transferred him, turned him into a female blood elf, like all of my other characters.
The masters.
And yeah, like every one of my characters except for my shaman is a female blood elf because you can't be a blood elf shaman.
Oh wow.
But now she's level 82, so
Nice.
I'm enjoying Survival Hunter. It seems really broken right now, and I think the patch just came out.
Yeah.
And Marksman took a big hit, so I'm like, oh, it's a good thing I'm not playing that.
Everyone seems to be complaining about the patch, and me, I've been fucking playing Holy Paladin like crazy recently. I think I'm starting to fall in love with Holy Paladin, so.
I haven't really like rated yet this patch, and I haven't noticed a lot of changes with whatchamacallit, prot pallies, but I haven't like I've kind of gotten burnt out on just playing one character, so I'm kind of leveling alts right now.
I'm sitting here thinking about my stories from when I was playing Rift and RPing and stuff, and I have some really crazy fucking stories. Like, oh my god. RP is one of those things where it's either great or it's completely drama-filled and it makes you want to get fucked in the ass by a monkey because it's a lot fucking nicer.
I've heard a lot of stories about even RP on like in Moonguard, and it becomes so clicky and whatnot. Like just like the ERP and whatnot aside, like the crazy stuff aside, it's just like so drama filled.
It is.
I guess that's why you see high school RPs being people looking for that in trade chat. Like people set up like school RPs. Guildnatus RP was really, really popular for a while when
Yeah.
Cataclysm first launched.
I'm one of those people. I end up finding like a group of 4 or 5 people that I deal with, and then I say fuck the rest of the community. Because what it is I'm already an enigma amongst a lot of the RPers in most games I played. Most RPers don't do any real content. They get to a certain point where they can get, nice social clothes, and then they just stop. That's pretty much their level of progress. And from there, they sit around, talk, and boast about things they've done. Well, to me, this annoys me. I'm like, I've legitimately done these things, cleared the top raids. I have, like, I don't know, a few 100,000 player kills on this character alone. And you're telling me your level 30 is going to be equally as powerful as me. Yeah, that doesn't go over well with me.
And it's hard to do that because then you could have a mythic raider come in, switch to RP, and then just become the god of RPers.
Well, if a mythic raider is RPing, then he's probably not a mythic raider.
Well,
I'm just putting that out there.
I actually saw a lot of people switch to Moonguard after near the end of Warlords of Draenor, because once your guild has it was Hellfire Citadel at the time, once it has it on farm, it becomes a job, because then it's like, oh yeah, why don't we sell these alt runs or sell runs, and it's like, does anyone like that? You got to log in, and you're every single day you're running someone else through the raid, and for a fact that it's not like, oh, this is a new guildie, or oh, this is a personal friend. It's like, oh, this is some guy who has so much gold that he can buy a run. So it really is indentured servitude, because you're thinking, oh yeah, we're getting some of his gold, but so many people in this game have full-on gold cap that they can buy a 30k run and be like, whatever, that's all I need.
Yeah, I'm one of those people who, it's not very common in Rift, the game I was playing before this, to see a raider and RPer in the same clique. And the few that did raid were completely trash. They should stick to RP because they're embarrassing bad. Okay, to put this in perspective, a support spec called a bird, it's gonna be hard to explain. It's pretty much one of the above characters, kind of like a shaman, but without being able to do it nearly as much DPS. One of the things that they were supposed to be doing is 40 to 50k DPS. Well, we had one doing 10k. So we watched the bird. We looked at the DPS meter to see what they were casting, because with DPS meter you can actually see what everybody's casting by clicking on their name in the DPS meter. And what he was doing was spamming his ability called Swift Shot, which is not only the wrong fucking ability, that's not even in the the class set of a bird, but he wasn't casting any buffs. He wasn't doing anything but spamming Swift Shot, which for him was doing about 9k or 10k at a time. We then corrected him, gave him a proper bird spec and macros, and guess what we saw him doing for the rest of the raid?
50k?
Nope.
It's the same shot?
Yes, he just decided to just fucking keep spamming it. He was going, but my character would spam this. I'm like, we're in a raid. What the fuck are you doing, man? What the fuck, man?
Some people can just
It would be like somebody auto-attacking in WoW. And
oh
that's
my
all
god!
they do.
That's, oh,
Yep.
It's funny. Speaking, I was just thinking, recently, I think it was on Tuesday or so, we recently finally got the the purple. Do you know the Ashes of Alarm mount? I know you haven't been playing for
Yes,
too
I
long,
do.
but that Phoenix. Okay, well, we got the purple Phoenix from doing all the Kata raids as a guild.
Nice.
Yeah. Now to do that, you need 8 people in the raid, and it's you saw our guild. I've been doing mass recruiting, but it's hard to keep people in the guild. So
Yep. I understand.
yeah, I finally had one night where I logged on. I think I was volunteering, and I came back and I was like, oh my god, there's 13 people online, 5 of which are doing Karazhan, which is that's cool, but or no, I think there was 13 plus 1 person on the mobile app. So there's technically 12 people. So it's like, well, why don't we get together? I'll try and find one more person to get the 8 people we need for this guild run, and we can do it. We can get this achievement that one of my guildies has wanted. They've wanted this mount for a while, and it'll be fun. Just get to know the guild. So we start running, and one of the characters in our guild, which there's no point in me saying the name because she joined after you left.
Yep.
But I get along with a lot of people that people don't really get along with. Like, it's hard for me to not get along with someone.
Like me.
Yeah, like I know, like, I don't have a problem with you, and I know that for like whatever reason, for whatever you said in Cards Against Humanity, or however you came across, I guess you got on the nerves of a couple of the other people in the guild, and I'm like, there's some times where I'm like, okay, that's not the funniest joke, but I don't mind you as a person. Like, I like doing this podcast with you.
Well, I have a very acquired taste personality. I'll be straight up. I know that people will either love me or they will hate me. There's very few times where there's somebody in the middle ground. The people who do like me will stand by me and vouch for me through pretty much anything, but the rest of the people will try to kill me because I have one of those type of personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I warn people when I go into a group or a guild that, I say and do things that will offend people, and that is just who I am. I'm not going to change.
Yeah, and I think but yeah, like, that's a side tangent. But so we're doing this run, and this person in the guild has like very heavy girl on the internet syndrome, which is like, I need all the attention because I'm a girl and I need special treatment, and everyone needs to pay attention to me at all times. Like, I think that's why I get along really well with Sonara, because she's not like that at all. She's just like, I like to play a game. I am a girl.
Deal with it.
Exactly. Like, like, not to the point to KT, where KT's just like, obviously a more mature person, and like, her gender doesn't even come into the equation. Like, you can tell Sonara's a girl, but this girl is like the complete opposite end of KT, where we're doing Blackwing Descent, and we've got a full 8 guild group, and I'm like, yes, finally, it's all the new players, because all the core group is in Kara, so these are people that, if you don't do stuff with the new players, they're going to leave for a guild that does stuff. That's why I can't blame you for leaving to do Emerald Nightmare Heroic. Like, if we don't take you on anything, and don't help you gear or anything or interact with you, what point is there to stay with the guild?
There isn't any for me.
Exactly. I've been in so many guilds where I've just left because it's like that.
Yeah, me, I usually leave within a week. Like, if there's nobody online that is fun or interesting for me to deal with, or there's too many shitters, I will just leave at this point. I don't have the patience to babysit or mince words.
Or wait for it to get good, basically.
Yeah. I don't have that type of patience anymore. I've been there, I've done that, I've spent expansion packs waiting for my guildmates to catch up to me, and fucking ended up getting really annoyed at them when they were doing the exact same spec with the exact same gear as me and doing 10k less than me every single fucking spec.
But anyway, I was playing with her, and we were doing Blackwing Descent, and I guess she was kind of whispering scenario and kind of talking to her, being like, oh, I just wanted to play with us and like stuff like that, and I'm like, well, like, the previous day I'd spend nothing but talk to her, and it's like, to put it in perspective, I don't have an online girlfriend. She has a boyfriend. It's like, it's not like, oh, it was your online girlfriend or something like that. It's like, no, I was just playing with her and was like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you and whatnot. But when the rest of the guild's on, I'm not going to completely ignore them for one person. Like, that completely negates the reason to be in a guild.
Exactly.
So she's trying to say like the same joke over and over, and like, you know me, like, I have a tolerance for, like, yeah, because like last podcast you kind of said the same joke over, but it wasn't that bad. It was like, she was saying like suck, like the SUCC, and like just kept going over and over and over it, and I'm like, okay, like,
hang on, is that even a joke? What am I missing there? Is that
just because it's a reference to blowjobs, I guess, was the joke.
Why didn't she just say blowjob?
I don't know. I came in halfway through the joke and
It's the
she was just
fucking
obsessed
guild,
about
man. It's the fucking guild. You guys have said some really fucked up in the time I was there. It's kind of why I was a little bit upset that I got my alt was kicked and no one even told me anything about it. I was like, well, whatever.
it. It's weird. They like to be like offensive, but they're like easily
Offended?
turned off. They're easily turned off certain um like personality types. It's so weird because like I would understand it if it was like, oh yeah, we're all a mature guild, us, laid back. So if someone with a more eccentric personality comes in, then it's a little bit of a turnoff. But it's like a lot of them have eccentric personalities, but it's almost like you have to have
Every one of them does.
like you
I'm
have to
not
have an
gonna
eccentric
name-
personality that
I'm
they
definitely not
like.
going to name anybody, but one of the people was pretty much boasting about his DPS and was like, I hope you can get up and match it. I'm like, I might, when I get geared up and I actually start getting more used to the game and find out if I actually want to even play this class, I might give you one for that money because, that's the type of person I am. I'm heavily competition based. I love the feeling of competition. I love being in competition with players. It's why I can't sit by in a casual guild. It's why I can't not do high-end content. It's why I can't not PvP. I have one of those personalities that, I have to always be competing for number one. Even if I don't necessarily succeed, I always have to be pushing. I always have to be pushing that boundaries.
Hmm.
And my personality reflects that from what I say to how I act and deal with people. And I'm straight up with people. You might not like me. You're probably not going to like me. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be sitting here and working until I get the job done. So you don't have to like me. I'm not going to, push myself on you. And if I know that somebody doesn't like me, I will avoid them. Because I don't want to deal with their shit any more than, they probably want to deal with me. I've been...
Yeah, but back to the story because I'm just about getting to the good part. So we finish up Blackwing Descent with this full guild group. And we get the achievement for it, and I'm like, yes, like, that's the first one. We only need 2 more, and then boom, this girl DCs, and I'm thinking, okay, that must be something with their internet connection. Like, usually if someone just immediately doesn't go offline, but like their character kind of just like once you've played the game more, you'll kind of realize what it looks like when a DC as compared to someone who logs out in a group. But I'm sitting there waiting, and then the other girl in the guild is my friend whispers me, and she's like, I think so and so's pissed off at me or pissed off, and I'm like, what? I guess I'll talk to her, and I'm like, what's going on? We just finished our first group. We want to do the rest of these raids for this mount, and she's like, oh, I only wanted to hang out with you two, and I'm like, this is like a thing for the whole guild. Like, you'll get this mount too. Like, this is, a good bonding experience. She's like, oh, I don't want to, and it like was really coming across as like really selfish.
Abort kick.
But like, and I think that's where I'm like nice to a fault, where it's like I won't remove people and I'll try and work with them. But it's like. She said something to the effect of like, oh well, it's not your job to socialize with them, and I'm like, well, like, I invited them to the guild, like, am I supposed to just ignore them then from then on? Like, that's by doing that, that's how you get these cliques and guilds where nobody cares about the members and the officers are all talking and doing stuff together, and then whenever they just happen to need the guild mates for a raid, they'll be like, okay, time for a raid, and then after the raid, nobody cares about each other. Yeah. It's like, I don't want that as our guild.
Okay, my story time. So, this is towards the end of the expansion of Rift. It's Nightmare Tide. We are doing high-end raids. We're doing Tier 3 and 3.5, which Rift tiers work differently. They don't keep adding tiers. Instead, what they do is they reset the tier. So at the new expansion pack, you're back at Tier 0, and then you go to Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3. So we're at Tier 3 and into 3.5, which we're doing both the... Well, we kind of stopped doing the 20-man because no one really needed gear from it, so we were focusing on the top content, the 3.5 tier. And I get into this group. I knew some of these guys from my first experience raiding, and they were like, hey, come raid with us, and convinced me to move shards again and to raid with them. Rift allows you to move servers, aka shards, once a week per character, free. So it's completely easily to move between servers and not have an issue. It doesn't cause you anything like that. So, but that's besides the point. So we're starting to raid. We're doing the raids, and I start noticing problems with the other mages. And the reason I start noticing problems is because some of them have better gear overall than me. I might have a piece better than them, and they might have a higher average than me. And they're doing less than me on the meters, in the exact same specs. So I look at what they're doing. I physically look at their abilities, and I'm like, why are your priorities of what your abilities are doing, damage-wise, different than mine? Your X ability is doing more than my X ability, but all of these other abilities are doing less than my exact same abilities. Something isn't right. Your rotation is wrong, and for example, one of the things of this was like the melee mage Harbinger. Well, I knew this spec. I had been using this spec since it first came out. So I had become extremely good at it. I used it for PvP, PvE, to solo things. I was very familiar with its inner working. And one of the things I started noticing was that I don't think that some of them were using their abilities right. You know how in a spec you have certain CDs, right, in WoW? And you use them at X time to make this ability better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they weren't doing that type of thing. They were just using it randomly. And I don't even think they were using one of the abilities, which turns your character invisible for a little bit of time, but it makes your next ability crit. Well, you use this with one of the channel abilities, and it crits insanely high. Otherwise, the ability is not really worth using. And a whole bunch of other things like this. They weren't using some of their utilities to kill the boss and the ad, because one of the nice abilities was where you could mark the boss, and then if you hit anything else, it would still do damage to the boss.
Yeah, there's abilities like that for the warlocks and WoW.
Yeah, so basically you were hitting them, you were doing a little bit less single target, but you were able to focus on the ads and still be hitting the boss. Why they weren't using this, I don't know. But they weren't. They weren't using their ability to turn all their melee attacks into ranged attacks, so they could hit ads far out. And it more than once wiped the group that they weren't doing stuff like this. Then the healer, when they were playing healers, they would do the bare minimum on each of the roles, so we ended up having 2 healers who were just barely making it. Whereas when I was healing, and when I was healing with one of the other people that I was kind of close to at the time, we would complement each other. If we saw the other person was struggling with their AoE heals, and we were the single target healer, we would help them out, and vice versa. We had this kind of chemistry where we saw what the other person was doing and knew instinctively when to pop CDs to make up for their shortcomings. And these other healers weren't doing it. They didn't work with anybody. They were doing the bare minimum every spec, which when you're doing high-end progress, like progression rates, even in WoW, you don't do the minimum. You bring everything you got. You don't slack. You give it everything because you need to in order to fully down it. Well, this ended up hurting us and causing us to sit there for 4 or 5 days fucking wiping because half or 3/4 of the raid were doing the bare minimum. They were doing below what they should have been doing, and they had higher gear than they should have had. So it's kind of, to me, a complete enigma as to why they were even in the raid. And then when I went to confront them, the officers and everyone like that, the small clique, including the officers, which these mages had become officers during this time, formed like this clique, and you couldn't tell them they were doing something wrong. Because they would shut you down and tell you, I'll kick you if you say anything. Which then created another divide because half the raid knew I was right. The players actually doing their job and doing it fully well knew what I was saying was actually right, including our main tank, which is Troll. He was the main tank at the time. And that's kind of where our friendship started. So the thing you were thinking about the click, I've seen it firsthand what it does, and it basically gets even worse from just, talking. When you get into a raid situation, you can't at that point have an objective raid because no one's willing to call their friends out when they do stupid.
And it's like, I could see that happening with this guild I'm in, which I really enjoy, but, I am personal friends with, like, a lot of the people in it, or at least a couple of them, and then a lot of the people I've kind of gathered on my own. But you have to be able to take criticism even if it's from your friends, because you know that if it's from your friends, it's not just ribbing. It's they're doing it to make you better.
To me, everyone should be able to take criticism for everybody. If you're doing something wrong, you deserve to be called out for it. I don't care who you are. I'm even tougher on my friends than I am with anybody else, because I don't tolerate that from my friends in a raid. I don't play favoritism. I've been in positions of officers where I've had to organize a 100-man raid. I don't play favoritism, because that hurts not only your guild, but everybody involved in the raid. It makes the entire raid disorganized and sloppy, and your friends at that point will no longer have any reason to actually do the raid properly, to not hinder your progress. And that to me is the worst thing. I hate when people hinder progress by just being incompetent, and purposely incompetent, even when they're pointing out the mistakes, refuse to fix them out of pure stubbornness.
It's I think comes with that whole like millennial generation where like it's like, oh well, if you wanna criticize me, then I'm just gonna not play with you, or I'm gonna get my friends to go against you, and it'll be you versus me, and I have officer friends and stuff like that. When it's like it's for the good of the whole guild. It's not trying to pick on someone.
Exactly. I'm one of those people, I don't want guild power. I don't want to ever become an officer. And I tell people, if you promote me to an officer, I will leave the guild. And I've actually done it. Somebody promoted me to an officer, I left the guild. And they had to spend like a week convincing me to come back because I refused to be an officer. I don't want that type of power. The reason I don't want it is because of this type of situation. Because I don't want to have to be that guy that actually has to kick people. I'm an asshole, but I consider everyone in my guild my family at the time. So I don't like favoritism, and I don't like, officers not doing their jobs just because they're friends. The raid leader not being a raid leader.
Mm-hmm. Like I like raiding. I couldn't be a raid leader just because I can't be. I think I could be nice and laid back, but when you need to get to top tier content, you have to be able to be strict at times too with people that aren't pulling their weight.
You absolutely need to be strict, and honestly, you should be strict in every raid, regardless of if it's progression or, top tier content. Doesn't matter what content you're doing, everybody should be doing everything they need to be doing. You shouldn't, be killing dead weight. And to me, dead weight is more than just, pulling numbers. It's more than just doing the bare minimum. Sure, you might have the bare minimum DPS required for this, for your class. But what is the point of doing the bare minimum? Why? When you could do so much better, when you could excel, when you can actually get to where you could do a lot better, that will actually help out everybody by you just, pulling yourself up. Then everybody else sees, hey, this person pulled themselves up, we should probably do the same and pull themselves up. In an ideal world, one person doing well inspires everybody else to do well. In practice, this doesn't happen because people are lazy motherfuckers who just rather do the bare minimum every single time.
I finally got into a group for. I'm still leveling this alt, and I was waiting for a group in the meantime, and finally got in. But
Nice.
how do you find your new guild? Like I haven't heard much about.
Okay, so they were advertising in World Chat and Trade Chat, and they were like, we need 1 or 2 people for a push into Mythics. Because they had Heroic Ian on farm, they were like 2 out of 3 TOV Heroic or something like that. They were, really high done. And I saw it in the raid, I went with them. They were extremely good. I was actually the worst person there, which made me feel bad, and partially why I re-rolled, because I felt so ashamed of it that I don't think I'll ever continue playing a mage. But
Well,
that's
that's the thing is you're trying to compare yourself to people who have more gear than you, though.
I know, but I still feel bad. I don't like being the bottom, ever. I don't like doing less DPS than a tank. I felt embarrassed, and the sad part about it is I don't think there's much I could do because they replaced, what little mobility I had with my mage with some other crappy thing during this newest patch. So
Really?
Yeah. So now my DPS is going to be even worse during parts where I have to move, which is pretty much every raid ever. So I'm going melee. Fuck it.
So I joined that group, right? And I was on top of this like griffin for a quest, so I couldn't actually like get into the dungeon. Basically, I was sitting outside in Stonecore this whole time, right? And it's just like, oh, dungeon complete. Here's your experience bonus, your gold, and your satchel. Have a fun time. I hadn't even stepped into the dungeon yet.
Oh my god. I've actually had that. Well, I was sitting on flat land, right? And then it didn't teleport me into the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat there like, am I frozen? And then I ended up hitting my spacebar to jump. I was able to jump.
Yeah.
And they were yelling at me. I was like, hey, it's not my fault. The game decided not to zone me in. I had to manually zone myself in after like 3 attempts to do that even, to get into the fucking dungeon.
Yeah, but they pulled the final boss before I could even get in. Like I never tagged the boss, and it still gave me the experience and stuff.
Hey.
Free experience, yeah. Like I'm almost I gotta catch up to 85 and then probably level a little bit more because they have this horrible thing where they're like, oh, you want to level with us, and then they'll just level on their own, and then it's like, oh, I was 62, but now you guys are all 80.
Well, let's move on to a different topic. We've been talking about game for quite some time now.
Oh, I want to go back to one topic from the first one. The kidnapping, which everyone christened, the BLM kidnapping. I actually saw a very interesting video by Harmful Opinions where and it's true, I went and rewatched the video, they never really state that they're from Black Lives Matter.
Oh, no, I never said they were.
But I never said you did. I just found it interesting that that's like you watch stuff like, Chris Reagan and whatnot.
I mean,
that's...
I'm getting annoyed at that narrative that people are saying they're like Black Lives Matter responsible. No, these people weren't from Black Lives Matter. They were just 4 Americans who committed a hate crime because they didn't like the guy's color of his skin and didn't like his political view. That is basically the story of it, and they deserve pretty much to spend their life in imprisonment because of the degree of what they did to the guy, the fact it's a hate crime, and the fact he was disabled. He couldn't defend himself. They took an innocent soul and did this bullshit to him, and that is what I'm angry about. I don't care the color of their skin. I don't care their affiliations. I care their actions. Their actions is what matters to me.
Do you think that they picked him up because he was disabled, and maybe there's some kind of like...
That I don't know. I think that it was just because he would be an easier target, whereas, if they came after a Trump supporter who could defend himself fully, they might actually sustain injury. They wouldn't be able to do it. So I think it was partially a mix between the fact he was disabled, which made him a prime target, and then all these other things. I think the disabled thing was more a convenience than an actual reasoning behind it.
Because, I know there's, horrible people that just, they still don't like the disabled, and they see them as the other and whatnot like that. So it would make it easier for them to do this kind of act on someone like that than, say, someone who's just like a normal person.
That might be a factor, and I know that the media tried to spin it off as that's the reasoning, but the physical video, from what I know of it, I didn't actually watch it because I wouldn't watch something that horrible. They were shouting things like, fuck Donald Trump and fuck the white guy. They didn't really mention his disability, so I don't think that's the main motivation. It might have been a side motivation. It might have just been the access to allow them to do it.
Have been written, because I know you're more up on the political stuff than me, like the news. Have there been any updates on that horrible shooting at the Fort Lauderdale airport on the what the motivations were for the shooting?
I haven't heard anything about it, so it's probably nothing to do with my sphere of influence. Otherwise, one of my channels would have picked it up. I listen to people like Mr. Epsilon, Blair White, Andrew Wisworski, and Matt something, and a whole bunch of others like that, where they don't always have the same view, but they usually cover the same topic. That's how I knew about it, is because every single one of these people made a video about the Trump supporter, and each one had a different information. And then the one that actually, in my opinion, was the best wasn't even in that sphere. He was more of a perfectly centered person, maybe leaning towards the left, and he sometimes disagrees with the right narratives on things like it being a Black Lives Matter attack and stuff. And he's kind of like in my opinion, the true voice of calm and reason, because he's completely centered. He has no real care on either side. He dislikes them, and I dislike both sides. On one side, we have the religious nutcases, that, the Christians that we've been fighting all this time. And then on the other hand, we have the extreme leftists and Islamic people on the other. And the sad part about it is most of the atheist community is starting towards the right side. We're actually fighting alongside the people that we've once fought against. So it's kind of like this weird reality that we're having to work with people that we've been fighting. Atheists and Christians generally don't get along, but because of the craziness of the extreme left, we've had to start working together.
It's definitely weird for that, yeah.
A prime example is Hunter Avalon. Normally, this guy would drive me absolutely fucking crazy with some of the Christian shit he does. But his videos on politics generally match up with my own. So it's kind of like, well, I'm not going to dislike this guy solely because of his religion. And what he has to say, in my opinion, is more accurate and more truthful, so I have to side with him. And that's the sad part.
Well, it's I don't know if it's the sad part. I think it's definitely healthy for you, because like I find the right with a lot of them, they'll profess like, oh yeah, look at all these liberals in their echo chambers, and then they'll never like meet common ground with any of the leftists. Like I like to watch a variety of stuff. Like I watch The Armored Skeptic. I watch H-Bomber guy who is a fairly prominent. I wouldn't call him a social justice warrior. He's more of just a liberal. He's very funny. Like I like a lot of his videos just for the comedic timing and whatnot. And he's very good at just kind of looking at it in a more objective view and pulling things back and putting them on a more realistic level. But I find it's healthy, even if you don't agree with him, to watch that kind of stuff, just so it can make you think. And it's the whole where I agree with the people that say that hate speech is it's mean, it's offensive, and it can hurt people's feelings, but
I don't think it should be illegal.
Yeah, because if you make it illegal, then the people that have those opinions, they're just going to find other people with those opinions and just reinforce them. Whereas
it's even worse. In my opinion, it gets even worse because as soon as you start restricting on freedom of speech, at that point you've already stepped over the line. And as soon as you step over the line, it's incredibly easy to keep down that path. Soon, anyone who says anything you slightly disagree with, you'll be pushing to have them jailed. We'll be living in a fucking communist dictatorship. And here in the U.S., that's, against one of our main fucking things. The freedom of speech is part of our actual I'm trying to think of the word, and I'm completely screwing it up. But it's actually a amendment part of our, laws. It's part of one of the main things that our country was founded on, which is the right of freedom of speech. And that might include things that offend you. Sure, you probably shouldn't drop the N-bomb in the middle of a group of polite people. But that's not, how should I put it? It's a difference between being able to say it and knowing when to say it.
And the context, too.
Yes, you shouldn't not be able to say it. But at the same point, you shouldn't say it. It's kind of like the difference between can't and shouldn't. You can't say something versus you shouldn't say something.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's not like a lot. The argument I see mostly for like freedom of speech has limits and stuff, like saying fire in a crowded theater. It's like I think people should be allowed to do that, but they just
I actually agree with that one because that's a little bit different. You can actually cause panic and incite violence, and that's what I think one of the things we have here is inciting violence. And by the way, I figured out what I was trying to say. My brain thought it's part of our Constitution, it's part of the fucking Constitution of the United States of freedom of speech. But I do kind of agree that you shouldn't be yelling fire in the fucking theater. You should probably go to jail if people get hurt. You should be able to say it, but at the same point, if somebody gets hurt as a direct response to them panicking and fleeing from you saying that, then you should probably, go to jail for that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you should be allowed to say it, but you have to be held to the consequences of saying that, meaning, like, it will incite panic, and you will have to be held accountable for the panic that happened because it was your fault.
In my opinion, it really shouldn't matter unless somebody got hurt. And to be honest, if somebody just randomly yells fire and you don't hear any type of sirens, you don't see any signs of fire, you probably shouldn't be panicking anyway. Just being a little bit practical there.
Yeah, like I think that's more of an example of like the old theaters that.
Yeah.
in the 1800s, if they had theaters then that didn't have the fire suppression systems we have today, like you'd see the water coming down before you even saw the fire.
Yeah, probably. And you'd hear the alarms and shit, so, I mean, it would be pretty hard for you to miss that. But at the same point, I can understand that. But what I don't agree with is silencing ideas. Because as soon as you silence an idea, you don't get rid of the idea. You just drive it underground. You make it grow because these people are allowed to have these ideas and they're never contested. The viewpoint is never protested. They are never shown anything different. So instead of getting rid of these ideas by intellectual conversation and debate, all you're doing is driving them underground and making them more likely to act on these ideas. Because it's kind of like cultivating. It's complete madness. You don't silence an idea you disagree with. You bring it into the spotlight. You make everyone look at it. You then destroy the idea. And as soon as you destroy the idea with all those eyes watching, the idea starts to die.
A good example of that was actually that Pizzagate that happened recently, where because like there were these crazy allegations, and to this date there's still no proof that any of it happened. But because everyone was not willing to talk about it or even, explore the idea, you had that guy show up to that pizza place with an assault rifle because, the more that you throw stuff like that underground, the more people are like, oh, there really must be something going on because they're trying to hide it.
Exactly. And to me, that's, the worst idea. You don't combat a bad idea by shaming or humiliating the person and up to where you silence them. No, you combat the idea by destroying the idea without attacking the person, because if you attack the person, they're going to shut down. So what you need to do is you need to just get rid of the idea. You get rid of the idea by showing them it's wrong. That's how you affect change. And violence doesn't help either, because a cycle of violence begins. As soon as you commit violence against one person for this, another person will commit violence against you for committing violence against that person, and it will just carry on into a big fucking cycle.
Yeah, it's the cycle of revenge.
Exactly. Words and language is probably one of the best tools humans have to get rid of conflict. If more people use their fucking words instead of actual violence, society would be a lot better. If we had a complete open conversation where anything and everything could be said, sure, people might get offended. People might have their feelings hurt. But we would also be able to root out some of these extremely bad ideas. These extremist ideologies that are not only dangerous towards one group, but everybody in the country, or everybody in the world. Sorry, I'm burping because of my coffee. So to me, freedom of speech censored only works in extreme cases like, inciting violence. That I agree, it's illegal if someone gets hurt. If no one gets hurt by what you're saying, physically hurt, then what does it matter? And that's
so.
Go on.
I was gonna say I think because I think we've made a good point on this topic, and there's nothing. We're just kind of repeating ourselves. You were gonna bring up something before I kind of interrupted you.
Ah, fuck! I forgot what I was bringing up. I'm all airhead, which is why I'm drinking coffee. Oh! I watched this new TV show, and I think it's not really that new, called The Expanse. I watched the season. The Expanse. It's a sci-fi TV show. I watched the first season because I saw an ad for the second season starting soon, and I was just blown away. There hasn't been all that many good sci-fi TV shows. Not horror sci-fi TV shows, real sci-fi. We're not talking zombies or any of that bullcrap, because that's not really sci-fi. That's more of the thriller or horror genre, in my opinion. Shows like Continuum, shows like The Expanse, and a few others like that. They're just a rare commodity. Terra Nova. I don't know if you've actually watched Terra Nova, but when that came out, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But now I can't find it anywhere, and that kind of upsets me.
It doesn't sound I don't watch a whole lot of TV itself. I kind of just
I
watch podcasts.
I watch a whole bunch of TV on online and stuff, and apps and stuff at this point. And one of the things that I've been noticing is the lack of fucking good TV shows that do more than just provide a cheap thrill. where they actually have something of substance, a real plot that pulls you in. I never cared for the Games of Thrones. I'll be honest, because it was way too horrific. I watched like 1 or 2 seasons, and then I watched the summaries of the rest of the season. I was like, this is getting worse and worse. This isn't enjoyable. This is horrible. It makes me really feel bad. I watched the rape scene, and I felt so guilty that I was like, what am I doing with my life? Is this what I'm watching on TV now?
I'll probably get into Game of Thrones once it's fully complete and I can just sit down and watch it. Like I did the same with Breaking Bad. I didn't watch it until its entire season was out on Netflix. The only show that I kind of was watching but I need to catch up on was Supernatural.
Oh my god, there's so many seasons of that. Shows like that, they kind of took me off because there are so many seasons to them that if I were to start watching them, I would never catch up to the show. Ever.
Yeah, well, you can, but you'd have to binge them. And the worst part is you get into those shows where it's like, oh yeah, you'll be talking to a fan, they're like, oh yeah, this season are the best. And then, like for example, with Supernatural, I think it's pretty commonly accepted that 1 through 6 are like just amazing seasons, and then like I think it's 6 to 8 are kind of just bad. Like a lot of nothing happens that's really dumb, and then I think after like season 9 starts picking it up and making it a little bit better. I don't know how much you know about Supernatural.
I've watched a dozen or so episodes. Like I've watched them randomly on TV through a random order, so I can't tell you which episodes I've watched. I just know I randomly have watched quite a few of them.
Yeah, like I really liked it before it became, because it's all about like the way I look at it is it's like those old B horror movies that people love, and it's like two brothers that fight the monsters that are in those. So like I really like that concept. I really like the show. I find it very entertaining. I like the chemistry of Sam and Dean, Jared Padalecki, and what is the other guy's name? Jensen Ackles, that's it. Like I really like their chemistry, but the problem is, like in the first couple seasons, it's really good because it's like just monsters. Like I think the second episode is like a Wendigo, and then like the third episode is like I forget, but it's just like monsters, and then they started to like bring angels into it, and now it's just kind of like, oh look, it's Christian mythology is like the most powerful monsters, and then everything else is just kind of like sub-powerful.
Yeah.
Whereas it'd be more interesting if it was.
I kind of got bored of the angel and the devil bullshit. It was just like, oh great, it's more of the same. Now moving on to another TV series. And that's pretty much what I did. I lost all interest because of those episodes being on TV all the time. They pretty much broke my will to watch it. I'll be honest with you there. But I do like a good horror, but I don't like it. How should I put it? Bloody. I don't like the graphic horror. So I like horror stories, which there's some YouTubers who read horror stories that other people wrote them and stuff like that. And I can sit there and I can watch that while I'm reading or doing anything else and it'd be perfectly fine. That is absolutely lovely. I love the imagination I get from it. I love the chills. I just don't love the blood. I'm kind of squeamish on blood. I know it's weird. I'm a pacifist, and blood is one of those things that gets in too much excess, too much gore, and it turns me off. Which is,
for me, I find
I don't want to give you spoilers on Game of Thrones, but it had some pretty graphic scenes. So
I know. But so, like I find it's like if you have too much blood, there's like that right balance of blood for horror where I forget what game I was playing. I think it was Dead Space. And like there was so much blood and gore that like it gets to a point where like you get desensitized to it and it has no effect at all.
I don't mind it in games. That's a weird thing. I just mind it in TV shows. I like the TV shows to make me imagine this thing, to make me think on what happened, rather than it just be all blood and all gore. I like those suspenseful movies, mystery types, where you have to think and put it together as you're going along of what the fuck is going on. The more head trippy it is, the more enjoyable. Inception was, in my opinion, a pretty damn good movie. It was a head trip, and I like shows like that. I love movies like that, where they're kind of head trips, but they're not gory. They can be scary and suspenseful, but they're not gore. I don't really like the gore. It's why I never got into Zombie Land or any of those type of TV shows. And people are like, you should watch them, they're amazing. I'm like, I can already tell you from the premise and what I've seen that these aren't going to be my type of shows because they're too bloody. It leaves nothing to be desired, nothing to think on. And I'm one of those people, I love thinking. I love books for that reason. I can read horror books that will chill most people's spines, but I can't watch a simple horror film because it has too much blood these days for me to ever get into. I end up wanting to puke.
I hate the suspense and whatnot, but I love like I love the stories because I find some of the most interesting stories are in horror because that's where you're trying to push the limits of like.
Have you ever actually read some Stephen King books?
No, but I've read a lot of like synopsis. Stephen King's good, but I prefer H.P. Lovecraft as far as like horror goes.
There was this weird book I read. I don't remember who it was. It was from Unwind, and pretty much one of the things is your parents could harvest you out. They could, sell all your organs and unmake you, and stuff like that. And it was weird. And then at one point, you come to find out later that the main character has one of the guys who were trying to kill him had his kid's organs in him. That was just one of the weirdest and most head-tripping turns I ever fucking read. It's kind of like a sci-fi thriller, and it was amazing. I just love those amazing plot lines. And I see them a lot in horror movies. But then I go to watch the actual movies of something like this, and it's all blood and guts everywhere. They don't care about the story, they just care about the blood and guts. And people lick this shit up, I'm like, so pretty much you guys want to go see gladiators fucking fighting in an arena. There's no real storyline to it. And I've told you in the last podcast, storylines matter to me. They're one of the biggest factors in movies, books, or anything else like that to me. I don't care what the characters are. I don't care about anything like that. I care about the storyline. How the characters develop in the storyline under these circumstances. To me, that is important. Go ahead.
I'm more. I just noticed we have a comment. Let me see.
Wait, we have a comment somewhere?
I'm just reading it real quick. I think it's from one of my past guildmates. I think I remember it.
It's not on my stream. It's on your stream.
Yeah, it's not. It's on mine. I live in Orlando. They bumped up the reward for that dude up to 100,000. Thank you, Exalted One. So I guess they haven't caught the dude who did the shooting then. I assume that they did. I don't know. Hopefully he's still around. Hopefully I didn't miss that comment by like 40 minutes.
We noticed you, Exalted One.
Yeah.
So it took us a while. We're not exactly checking comments.
I was gonna say I'm playing WoW, and I'm just gonna like checking the stream health every now and then.
I'll somewhat watch it. Give me a minute. I'm gonna bring up YouTube so I can actually go to your channel and watch it. I hope that doesn't cause some sort of audio feedback. We will fucking see.
I don't know. I think it's for me. It started out muted, so that worked for me. You might have to mute it.
Yeah, I might have to mute it. So give me a moment, guys, as I set this up, and that'll allow me to watch both people's streams. Subscriptions. I'm gonna watch both of our streams, so that's gonna be kind of weird, but whatever. It is what it is.
We'll have two watching.
Yeah. Oh. It flipped my channels. Got it. So it should be my channel for this one then. Yep. Alright. Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to cause lag. It shouldn't cause lag, but I mean, you never know.
But back to our blood thing, I noticed that I'm more affected by, like, I don't know if you watch a lot of anime, but I get more, like, emotional impact.
Steins Gate.
Is that your favorite of all time?
That was one of the best storylines ever, in my opinion. And the twist, it had a twist to it, and I can't remember the twist or the initial impact, so I'll have to re-watch it, but it was a pretty good one. One of that, Magical High, Regular Magical High was another good one, in my opinion. Danganronpa was actually pretty good, too.
But in the end, the trap becomes a real girl. That's such a disappointment.
All the traps become real girls, like fucking, you see it in, God damn it, Infinity Stratos? I can't remember the exact name.
Infinite Stratos, yeah.
Yes, where it's the guy, one of the guys gets introduced, he's this all perfect guy, all the girls crush on him, and then you find out he's a girl.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then there's the 100 where it has the same thing, and then the girl turns out to be a princess, as well as being a girl. It seems a very common theme in anime, where the trap turns out to be a fucking girl. I'm like, wait, but that's not really. Well, it kind of is a trap because you think it's a guy, then it turns into a girl. It's a reverse trap.
At least that doesn't happen, and I think it's like my high school love life snafu or something like that, where it's like one of the people in the harem is an actual boy, but it's like a really effeminate one.
You don't jinx it. We might find out in like a season 3 or 4 that it is a fucking girl.
That would be the biggest cop out. Like
It would be horrible. I hate when they do that. I hate when they introduce a trap and then it's not really a trap because it really is a girl.
yeah, and you're like, come on, like you can't.
It's a trap within a trap.
It's a reverse trap.
It's a trapception.
But I've been recommended Steins Gate a lot, but I don't watch a lot of anime, and I only watch ones when like I'll look it up on my own and then get interested in the plot synopsis. Like I've never really been one to watch stuff that's been recommended.
Okay, if you watch Steins Gate, don't read any of the plot episodes. Don't do any of that. Just watch it, okay? If you're gonna watch it, just watch it. Don't let anyone ruin the spoils of what it is for you, because it has a pretty big twist, and it is a kind of like it's more of a serious anime in my opinion, because it has an actual real plot that you can find in a real TV show that somebody could actually make into a real TV show, and it would be very interesting. It has one of those type of storylines. It doesn't have a normal anime storyline, in my opinion. It has an actual TV show storyline, and that is what made it so incredible to me. So I would actually say watch it, but just don't talk to anybody about it. Don't look at any of the summaries or synopses of it, because you'll ruin some of the fun of the characters. You'll ruin some of the fun you'll have with it. And at the end, it does have a pretty good twist. And I probably ruined the twist by telling you there is a twist. So
yeah, well, I mean, a lot of shows just seem to rely on a twist at the end now. Like it's
I love that. I really love that. I hate it when a TV story is so bland and so straightforward that you know exactly what's going to happen, because you can predict based on the previous episode and where the storyline is going what's going to happen. I love when the writers kind of throw that curveball and change the entire direction, change the entire storyline by throwing that curveball.
The only anime I can think of that like does that well, where it's like straightforward, but it doesn't really have a twist, is One Punch Man, where it's so funny. Like, have you watched One Punch Man?
No, and I'm gonna probably take a minute or two to go to the bathroom because my coffee is running straight through me like a bullet. So if you want to keep talking about random things so they don't get bored, that would be great. If not, it'll be a few minutes of boringness while I go to the bathroom.
I guess I'll give a plot synopsis of One Punch Man for the few of the people that are maybe watching this after then.
All
right. So yeah, One Punch Man it's like a shonen deconstruction. What a shonen is, for any of you that just are watching this and don't watch anime at all or read manga or just watch them Chinese cartoons. It's like a fighting. The word shonen means I think it means young. I think it means boy, not young boy, but just boy. So like a shonen manga would be like, think of what a show for boys would be in Western societies, like a Power Rangers, where it's all about, oh yeah, we got to defeat the bad guy and stuff like that. Like just really, really token boy stuff. Superheroes, think the Avengers. And sure, you can be like, oh well, girls like that stuff too, but it is targeted more towards boys. Oh my god, I'm gonna die in this. There I go. Basically, what it does is it takes the common shonen trait of, oh, all they gotta do is believe in friendship and believe in themselves and yell a lot and just show their determination. Determinism is a whole different thing. Determination, and they'll get through it fine. But what One Punch Man does is it takes that and it flips it on its head. So basically,
And I'm back.
you got back at the perfect time. I've just been just starting. So basically, what One Punch Man does is it takes like the shonen archetype of we gotta be determined and we gotta push through it and we'll eventually win, like a Dragon Ball Z where he just kind of yells until he reaches his super powerful form.
I never got into Dragon Ball Z, so.
Me neither. For me it was the art style.
Yes.
I
didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. But so it's like if you took Goku, the main character, when he has like the superpower, and you put him back at the start of the show.
Oh, wow.
So One Punch Man is this guy who trained really hard for an entire year, but it's like really funny because the workout he does is like a standard workout you could do as a person. It's like 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, and 10 miles every day for like an entire year. Which, like, it sounds hard, but, if you did that every day, like, you would have a toned body. So, he did this because he always wanted to become a hero when he was young. And he encountered a supervillain when he was, like, really down in the dumps and, really, like, he'd been declined jobs and whatnot. And he was just like, oh, man, there's nothing left to live for. And this supervillain is going to kill this kid. And the reason is so funny, but I don't want to spoil it.
Well, I'm probably not going to watch it, so you can tell me. But
so the supervillain is a guy called, I think it's Crablante. And he's a guy who ate too much crab, so he turned into like, how like a mermaid has like the bottom half of a fish?
Oh, no.
Like a reverse mermaid, but it's a crab.
Oh, my
so it's
God.
like the top end of the crab. And the little kid found him sleeping in a park, so he drew nipples on him in permanent marker, and he's pissed off because he has crab arms, so he can't wipe them off. So he wants to kill this kid. So the hero fights him off and is like eventually kills him, and he's like, oh my god, like I really do want to become a hero. Like this is great. So he trains so hard that his hair falls out, and the thing that really puts this anime above all the rest is that the way that they it has a very, very detailed art style, and it's very good. Like especially if you read manga, some of the pages and chapters are like I could take it out of the book and frame it as a poster on my wall. It's so detailed. But the main character, because he's lost all interest in life, because now that he's trained so hard, he beats everything in one punch, he's drawn like a Rick and Morty character. So it's like, he's just like a circle, and then like boring eyes, and he's just bored all the time. And he lives up to his name. He just kills everything in one punch, and his whole stick is, when you're that powerful, like think of a video game and you go back and you're doing New Game Plus and you have everything, and it just becomes boring.
That's actually what I hit in a lot of MMOs very quickly, because it becomes very easy for me to play the game and I get bored.
I brought my garbage up earlier. I brought it up earlier. Sorry, it was my dad. But yeah, like it's that feeling of getting so powerful in a video game that there's no point even playing it anymore, personified in an anime character. It's so well done,
Yeah,
so funny.
I do that in Skyrim all the time. I get to a point where I end up just stop playing the game and restarting because I get too powerful very quickly.
Yeah, like because that's the thing, is he has like God mode too, so it's like God mode and he kills everything in one punch. Like it's like it's
Who's
okay
your
if you
daddy?
got God mode in Skyrim, but like once you kill everything in one hit, it is boring.
Yeah. Who's your daddy in Warcraft 3?
Yes.
That's exactly what it's like. Everything is God mode and it all dies in one hit. So you could just send your hero to demolish the entire base and it gets kind of like, it's
And
boring. I want the infinite life, but I don't want the one hit aspect. I like the beating on things.
like the greatest thing is right now in the manga they're kind of deconstructing the whole how every single shonen manga from Naruto to like Bleach to everything, they always have like that arc where it's like, oh, it's time for that filler tournament that lasts like 30 episodes and you feel like nothing gets done and it takes forever. Well, he just beats everyone in his rank in one punch. And like the dude he's fighting right now, which like the fight hasn't started because of course the fight's gonna take one punch. But he's like, oh yeah, you know, I was this great martial artist. I found the hero society to be a joke because it's all these people who, you know, have different ranks, but some of them are a complete joke, whereas some of them are incredibly powerful. And like I just want to fight a person that challenges me. And the main character Saitama, which is One Punch Man, he's like, oh, that's like me. I want to fight someone who gives me a challenge too. And like right at the end of the chapter, he's like, well, let's fight for real then. And like,
one punch.
Well, he hasn't punched me. I'm waiting for the next chapter because I know that's what's gonna happen. Is like,
For me, that would get very boring and very repetitive if everything just goes down to one punch. What the fuck, man? What are you?
but that's where it comes from. It's not an action manga. It's a comedy. So like, and they get tension because they have these different heroes because the manga is almost like a take on like Western superheroes where like, you know, there's some superheroes that are cool, but then there's some superheroes that are just a completely dumb idea, like or they're very situational.
Like every superhero ever. Let's be real. Western superheroes dress horribly. The fucking underwear on the outside of some of their costumes, I've never understood that. What is the point of that? Just to look as gay as possible? 10 points for
That's
Gryffindor.
like Superman, though.
No, there's quite a few others that do the same type of shit, and I was like, what is with these costumes? Why would you wear a costume this ugly? Just put on a black mask and black everything, and you're good to go. There you go, you're a superhero.
And I think that's why I like One Punch Man, because you can believe characters having costumes like that because it's just so funny. Like, it's like there's one hero who his name, which sadly in the manga it's like Kaiman Rider or something, but in the anime it's that. In the manga his name is literally Licenseless Rider. He's a guy who couldn't get his driver's license, so he bikes around a lot.
What the fuck?
And he's a superhero. Like, he sucks. Like,
Why?
One of his moves is Justice Crash, where he, like, bikes and then jumps off his bike and it hits the person, but it's not like a super-powered bike. So it'd be like if you went on the street and biked into someone.
That would actually hurt depending on how fast you're going. Some bikes can go insane
Exactly.
speed. So they can actually
Like,
fucking hurt you, but I mean, most of the time it's probably just going to be a nuisance and you can just run out of the way.
But, like, that's where I'm like, I can understand why he's a low hero, because, like, if you're a bank robber or something, and, you know, you don't see him coming and he just hits you with his bike, and, like, you're gonna be on your ass, and the police are gonna be able to catch you. But, like, one of the funniest parts is, there's the Deep Sea King, and, like, this manga is, like, the sillier the villain looks, the more powerful he is kind of thing.
Oh, God.
This guy looks like a fish crossed with a clown.
Oh, no! So he's super powerful.
and he's like wearing a Speedo. It's so funny. But then like Licenseless Rider like tries to fight him and of course like gets his ass kicked. And like there's some really great messages in this film, in this like manga. Like he just is like, you know what, if I don't stand up against you, like no one will, and these people behind, like, you know, all the civilians will die. So I'll give up my life so that they don't die. And like you really see like where there's different concepts of a hero. Where, you know, there's the really powerful guy who fights crime for fun, but then as soon as things get too powerful, they're like, well, I'm not gonna risk myself. And then there's the person who doesn't have the power, but is like, I'm gonna do good in this life, and I'm gonna fight.
I personally live by that motto myself. Being in situations I've been in, I've learned that my life is ultimately meaningless, and the only thing that is really gonna matter is what I do with it. So if I have a opportunity where it's a situation where I can give up my life to protect somebody else, yeah, it's no-brainer what I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
And I can officially say this because I've been in situations where my life has been on the line, and I've just been like, Here's what I need to do to survive. I don't panic. I don't freak out. I don't freeze. I get very calculating. Which is completely weird. My adrenaline rush is kind of like one of those movies where time feels like it slows down and everything is clear. I can't explain the feeling. It's just how it is. It's one of those things where, to believe me, you would have to experience it yourself. Everything feels like so slow to me, and I can see what I need to do exactly to get rid of the situation. And it just... Like I said, it's hard to explain, but it is one of those things I did learn about myself by actually having been in a situation where my life was on the line, and I came out of it the other side. You learn a lot about yourself when you're in a situation where you're either buried alive or, you're facing imminent fucking death. You learn a very lot about yourself, what type of person you are.
Luckily say that I've never been in that kind of a situation.
Until the ass muncher comes to eat you.
That's true. I mean, I do want to get into policing, so it's going to be a matter of time before I'm in that kind of situation.
I swear to God, the first person you're gonna be arrested is somebody in a fucking Speedo, and he's just gonna be like, "I am the hump man."
That would be so cold in Canada, though. Like,
it would be cold in most places, but it would still be a funny person to arrest on your first time. Be like, "What the fuck? You're the hump man? What do you do?" My superpower is I hump people's legs.
I was going to say I'm too tall for that, but, that'd probably make it a lot easier for them.
Just he goes to work on your leg, and you're like, I can just imagine you just staring down at him like, what the fuck are you doing? I know, okay, it's not realistic, but it was funny. At least at the moment.
Is there because now that topic's kind of over. What other things do you have on your mind?
Well, I mean, I have a whole bunch of shit on my mind. As for if I would want to talk about any of that shit, I don't quite know.
That's true. It's a podcast, not your psychiatrist's office.
Well, that and, some of the things I would want to say would be very, very fucking, fucked up. I think that's the word I should use, fucked up. More fucked up than a man fucking a dog. Which, the sad part about it is, a lot of people talk about it and they're like, do you know how easy it is to get dog fucking porn? I'm like...
I honestly think that
I'm just stunned by that statement. There's so many things wrong with it, from why the fuck are you looking for dog porn to why the fuck do you know it's easy to find?
I think it's that slippery slope argument where I think down the road it's going to be like, oh, we should accept them for who they are.
Oh, they're already adding in the P for pedophiles in LGBTQ community.
I thought that was like a thing that like a few people were doing as like a joke.
And people are actually taking it serious. There are people actually legitimately fighting to make pedophiles more acceptable.
Like I can understand fighting to make it acceptable for them to come forward with it.
Nope.
And like get help.
Nope. You shouldn't be fucking children if you're a
grown
man.
Like,
I don't care.
I don't mean acceptable for them to do it. I mean acceptable for them to talk about it.
That's what they're fighting for, is to get it to where it's a, acceptable thing. They don't choose their sexual preference, so it's completely okay.
But that's the thing, is like...
When did that become okay?
Yeah, like, it's...
Our society has gone so fucking... We must accept everyone, that they're not fucking realizing that what they're saying is complete moronic. It's not okay to fuck children. It's not.
No, it's horrible. Like,
That is horrifying to me. And you're just as speechless as I am about it. I can hear you telling me the disappointment in society that this is an actual thing.
It's so crazy though. Like you would think that people would know better. Like it's
you would think
children can't understand the concept of sex or anything like that. That's why like they're horribly affected for the rest of their lives for abuse like that.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's, even funnier cool stuff going on in places like Canada. and Europe and stuff.
Why is it always my country that's doing stuff like this?
I don't know. But one of the things is, it's parents are forcing their kid to be, go through hormones and shit to change genders. What the fuck?
Or I think it was what they did was some of them wanted to like force hormone therapy so that way they were like a neutral gender at a young age until they pick.
Why? Why would you fucking fuck with your kid's hormones? Hormones, what control your moods, they control your fucking body hair and a whole bunch of other shit, and you're fucking with this shit? You're gonna permanently damage this kid. You're gonna fuck this kid up. What is wrong with the world? Here in America, we actually have a large movement that is, stopping the type of shit from being acceptable and being, done. Because we're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But then we look to the other countries and we actually see people doing this shit and we're like, we're just gonna sit over here in our little bubble and stop the US from becoming like that. It's kind of this backwards thing where the rest of the world is doing weird and stupid shit, and one of the reasons America isn't is because, we have people like me who are standing up and voting for idiots like Donald Trump just to say, fuck you, we don't want this shit anymore in our country.
What do you think of like all the recent tweets and stuff that's been going on? And what was this fake news that he was tweeting about?
I don't know.
There's
been a few videos, but you know what? I'm actually glad he tweets. You want to know why I'm glad? Because the president is a real person, and now he seems like a real person. He makes stupid things, and he riles people up. He is the embodiment of the fucking movement that I guess I'm part of. The anti-feminist, anti-social justice movement I am part of. Everybody should be fucking laughing at this guy, actually being a real person and using things like social media. It also shows he's not completely out of touch with the world. Like a lot of fucking stuffy politicians are. They don't know what's going on because they're not a part of it. So, round of applause for Donald Trump.
I couldn't imagine Hillary using the Twitter.
Oh, she tried to do something like that, and it came off horrible. I think she did a video where she was trying to appeal to younger generations and talking about quick scope and games and shit. I'm like, just stop. Just stop. We're not stupid. We can hear you're trying to appeal to us, and it's not working. You're making yourself look like a complete boob, and not in a good way. Not a good type of boob. We're talking about man boob here. We're talking about the moves. Yep. Nope.
The worst kind.
Yep. We're not talking about the good kind here, alright? So, you're not making yourself look very good. And most of us who are in that type of culture, we don't like you. We don't like you. We never have. You've been in office 30 years and all you've done is lie, manipulate, and cause people to die. You and your fucking husband have left a trail of bodies in your wake. And I'm not going to say that you are responsible, but everywhere you've been, there's been a lot of death. So, let's keep you out of the White House anymore. You're done. We're done with you. Go fucking visit Harry Potter land.
It's Harry Potter land. I wish we could go to Harry Potter land. I'd love to become a wizard. I mean, I'm only 7 years off.
You're a wizard, Tom. Anal privilege Tom is back.
Oh god, not that again.
I told you that is your new name, man. The wizard, anal privilege Tom. Your specialty is making anuses privileged. I don't know how that works, but we will figure it out.
Well, you know what a wizard is online, right?
No, probably not.
It's someone who's a virgin at age 30.
Wow. Well, then your anus isn't all that privileged, now is it, Tom?
No, it is not.
I swear we're going to end up doing a stream, and one of these days I'm going to fly out to Canada, I'm going to come visit you, and we're going to dress you up like a fucking bondage horse, and we're going to just go, anal privileged Tom, the horse.
Why do you have one of those suits randomly?
I don't, but, we'll buy one.
I imagine they're expensive, though.
Well, if I'm going to fly to Canada, I'm already going to be breaking a lot of money anyway, so just saying.
I mean, have you seen like the cost of like those fursuits that people wear? They're like upwards of like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000.
Nope, but I am gonna find out.
You're just gonna Google it.
Yep, I'm Googling it on live stream, so.
Oh man.
You guys get to watch this shit.
But the site that'll come up will be.
Oh my god, my loading is slow, probably because it's just 2 fucking streams. Yep, the streams are actually... I'm watching both streams and it's, fucking up my internet speed, so...
So you can close mine then. Like
I'm closing them both. First shoot pricing. Damn!
How much?
Some, Jesus, $1,200?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
3,000?
it's, oh my god, something blew up and we almost all died.
2,800? What the fuck is wrong with this world?
And there's people that'll readily be like, yeah, that's a reasonable price.
Okay, I'm gonna go drink some bleach. I'll be right back.
Oh man, you better save some for me.
Fuck you, get your own bleach, anal privilege, Tom. APT. That actually works out very well. Yeah. I was going to say something before you sidetracked me on the entire Donald Trump fucking bullcrap. Fuck, what was it? Awkward silence. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You fucking did this
Donald
to me.
Trump is he definitely clears the room.
Oh my god, I just thought of something really horrible.
What?
Okay. Up time with Tom and fucking Nia. We seen White House. Actors Hillary and Donald Trump.
We could go into if you played on Moonguard, you could go into that and read the MRPs of people there.
No, fuck that.
Have you done it?
No. I didn't have it when I went there. I'm glad. And I'm definitely not going to do it on stream. Actually, I might do it for my gaming channel, but that's, going to be something I'm going to,
I have one where I read someone's MRP.
We can do that after this. We can do that after this podcast. Because, I'm actually making mine nice and professional. We have the Google Hangout window as the main box with the side thing of looking into things. Anyways, so Donald Trump bends Hillary over the White House desk.
Oh, God. They've probably already written stuff like that. As soon as there was the campaign when she won the nomination, there was probably some kind of a fanfic or something.
Well, we're writing one right now, so shut up and stop interrupting. Sit down, you fucking white male. You're so white that you have no eyeballs. You don't get to talk.
Oh my god. You're not actually writing this, are you?
No, I'm trying, I keep trying, but it's so fucking embarrassing that I can't. I just can't. My shame part of my brain is just flaring up. But basically, Donald Trump fucks Hillary in the ass and gives her a nice, cream pie. Hentai style, so her belly is like all bulged out from all the sperm.
Oh god.
There's just sperm everywhere. Just sperm everywhere.
I don't want that picture of her. Anyone but her.
And Donald Trump just says, "Now you're fired." Oh my god. It could be worse. It could be fucking Donald Trump with Barack Obama.
I don't know. Barack Obama's probably more attractive than Hillary Clinton.
No, not when it comes to fucking being with Donald Trump.
That's true.
But then again, that would clear the room real quick. They just start breaking out into a kiss, and then everybody just quietly leaves.
Oh god.
Everyone just leaves. Code Browning effect.
Oh.
I'm sorry for the people who are watching this. We're all fucked up. Deal with it, son. Okay, now what?
I'm trying to think of what other topics we can bring up.
This is horrible. We're such bad people.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, if you think about it, not all of our podcasts have to be 2 hours. So if there's nothing like coming to mind. We
Yeah,
could just,
I think we might want to end it, and we could go record that stupid fucking other video.
well, I'm actually going to continue. I'm watching. I don't know. It's this other podcast, Tales from the Internet. Or no, It Came from the Internet. And I think I'm on one of the last episodes, but they covered like a lot of people that are really prominent that have shown up on the internet through like 4chan or. So they've covered like that guy with the glasses, so Nostalgia Critic,
That's actually pretty cool.
Dark Side Phil.
And yeah, I think I'm probably gonna end this here in a minute because my brain is all fucked up by the imagery of Donald Trump, Hillary, and Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like.
I'm gonna leave you guys with that thought and peace out, motherfuckers.